Hey everyone, welcome to Vinyl Verdict, the show where we listen to records. I can't think of a good tagline, so here we are. Today we're listening to a recent-ish favorite of mine, Future Me Hates Me by the Beths. They're an indie pop band from New Zealand, and this is their debut album that released in 2018. There are 4 members: Elizabeth Stokes on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Jonathan Pierce on lead guitar, Benjamin Sinclair on bass, and Tristan Deck on drums. Kind of. They actually had a different drummer for Future Me Hates Me, Ivan Lucatina Johnston, so we won't really be talking about Tristan at all today. One thing I should mention before we get started is all the guys are also listed under backing vocals. They do a lot of harmonies, and the mix is pretty great. I think that Elizabeth is never really overshadowed on the mic, but all the guys really shine through when they want to sing. They just kind of work together. According to Wikipedia, at least, Elizabeth and Jonathan met in high school, and then they met Ivan and Benjamin in university, where they were all studying jazz, which is pretty cool. I like when music majors end up making music. You know, it's just kind of sweet.
Yeah.
I really love this album. That's kind of why I picked it. What do you guys think? That's what I'm really here to figure out.
It's a 38-minute album, and it took me 4 days to listen to it because I couldn't get into it. Every time I listened to it, I was just like, I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was kind of jangly in the way I like. Is that a word? Is jangly a word?
It is now.
It's a word now, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of, it kind of sounds fun. But every time I went to listen to it, I was not in the mood for something upbeat, even though the lyrics are sort of downbeat because they're like shitting on each other, or like it's just like my life is kind of shit, but the music's kind of fun.
It reminds me of like ska in a lot of ways because of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, like in the last 2 weeks since we recorded the last one and you told us what we were going to listen to, I have not been in the mood to listen to something upbeat like that.
That's cool.
And boy, it took me a long time. Bell told me he was listening in the shower one day, so I tried that.
Yeah? How'd that go?
Yeah. Fine. I did that as I was getting ready for work yesterday, and I got through 4 songs because some of those songs are like 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a long shower.
Most of them are about 3.5 or 4, but a few of them are like 2.5 or 3.
Yeah, like the middle half of the album is kind of short. Yeah, like little short ones. And that's fine. Like I listened to the whole album this afternoon because I was off today. And I was still not in the mood to listen to it, but I did it. And it's fine. It's a good album. Like it's you described it as cohesive, and I agree with that. It flows well.
We were talking about it a little bit before we started recording.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Shame on
guys.
them. Shame on them.
We talked about it for approximately 2 minutes.
That's a whole song.
Wow. Yeah, some albums. Yeah, right. Like, well, actually, that's like radio friendly, right? Because most songs on the radio are 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And it used to be 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Like, look at some of the early Beatles albums.
There was a lot of radio versions of songs where it was like 2.5 minutes, and then the full album version would be like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and they always cut the good part out of the song.
Yeah.
You know, like they cut the solo out of Sultans to Swing every time because that song's like 6.5 minutes long. Anyway. Belle, did you have some thoughts?
Hi, I'm Bell.
Hi, Belle.
Yeah,
we should probably introduce ourselves again.
Classic.
Fuck.
They should. I mean, if you don't know us, listen to the only time we intro ourselves, which is the first episode. I'd listened to this song "Happy Unhappy" before.
Oh,
and I really
okay.
liked it.
Oh, interesting.
It's something that I've had in playlists for a while, so I was really excited coming to this album. It's also a great name. I just love it. Now I refer to it all the time. I'll just say like "Future Me Hates Me" when I leave something for me to do in the future, because like I've always thought of myself as like, thanks past Jake when I did something for myself.
Yep.
So like "Future Me Hates Me" I thought was awesome. But like Jamie, I didn't really get into it.
Really?
I thought it was a little bit noisy in like the wrong way.
Oh, interesting.
And drums and cymbals, the cymbals really overpowered a lot of different things. So like trying to listen, and maybe that's why I like the showers, because like it already is loud. Yeah. So like adding additional loudness wasn't that bad, but it kind of reminded me of Surf Curse, where it's just this kind of like hectic.
Yeah. Okay.
Music, and some songs really hit and I like them a lot, but there were songs that I like actively disliked.
Really?
Like they came on and I was like, bah.
Which one do you actively dislike? I'll give my like more in-depth thoughts after this, but I'm really curious.
So without going too much into detail, River Run and Whatever, I kind of like actively disliked. But overall, the sound was not too bad. I like that speed of things, and I think I really liked the main singer's voice.
Yeah.
But again, that's probably why I didn't like the cymbal so much, because I felt like I was drowning that out when I wanted to hear it. And unrelated, I was listening on Spotify because, of course, I don't have the album. I really like the little videos that played, because little videos that play on Spotify.
I didn't
and like Uptown Girl and stuff like that. I thought they were really fun little videos. And
I didn't like that Uptown Girl didn't sound anything like Billy Joel.
Uptown Girl.
Yeah. This is 2 albums in a row where there's been some hit song names.
Yeah.
And it's not that one.
Yeah, I listened to it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's pretty brave of them to do a cover of Bill. Oh, it doesn't sound anything like that. Yeah.
So it's funny. I actually, don't get me wrong, I kind of agree on the drums and everything, and maybe that's why they switched from that drummer to the new guy.
No.
But overall, I actually like how noisy it is. But I'm personally like a big like punk and metal fan, so I like when there's a lot of, I don't know, just I feel like this drives forward constantly. There's always some kind of like driving guitar riff or driving drum beat. Yeah, so I like a lot of like punk and metal and new metal and alternative and stuff. So for me, what I liked about this was it felt like indie pop meets a bit of punk.
Sure.
Or like a bit of surf rock or something.
Yeah.
Like even on, which track is it? I can't remember which one, but they've even got like a bit of Miserlou. There's that like quick picking during the solo. And I don't know, I also really like good singers. Like part of the reason a lot of my favorite bands are bands with really strong singers. And I think Elizabeth has a fantastic voice.
Sure.
And I really love the backup vocals on all the guys when they do their harmonies. I think it's just fantastic. They do a good job of like I said, keeping it as a spotlight, but never one that outshines Elizabeth singing at any point.
Sure.
And I mean, overall, I think that, like I said before, how it's, well, I didn't say it yet, but it's cohesive, right? Like, and that is a weakness and a strength. So my only issue with this album, because I really like it personally, my only personal issue is that I feel like every song, while feeling and sounding very different, is almost the exact same in terms of like formation.
Speed
And formation. I'm fine with the speed, but the formation is... hold on, I actually wrote it down exactly what it is. It's basically like they go slow, or they have a soft intro, and then they pick up, and then they go fast for a while. They have a guitar solo, and then they slow down, and then they pick up again.
There's like a break in the middle.
And like at the 2/3 point, it changes where there's backup vocals.
Yes.
So every single time I'd notice where I'm like, oh, it's like 2 minutes in, and now there's backup vocals, which for me made or broke a song.
Sure. Yeah.
But every time I was like, oh, now there's this.
Yeah.
Now in the bridge they've added this or whatever.
There's a guitar solo almost 2/3 through every single track. And I like them all. And I mean, there's a reason why this is like a 10-track album and 5 of those are singles.
No.
Because I do think they're all strong songs.
Sure.
And they all go into each other quite well. Like the speed and pace is kept almost consistently. I actually used this album as like my workout album for almost a full year because it's so upbeat throughout almost the entire thing. I usually started on River Run level 1 because it's like a bit of a slower start, and I let that be my warm up on the treadmill, and then I like get going once it picks up, and then I just keep on going with the rest of the album.
Like Bell, I did not like that song.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked River Run. I'm surprised I didn't like Whatever. Like I even have like, I really liked how much the bass stands out on Whatever.
Sure.
And I like how it comes crashing back like a wave a few times.
Yeah.
And especially the mix with the lyrics, like making me want to crash the car, will hit the water.
I didn't like Little Death either.
Oh, I love Little Death.
Before we get too in depth, should we give the album one last listen?
Yeah, sure. Let's put it on.
Absolutely, let's do it.
great album.
What an album!
It was an album.
Let's talk quickly about the record itself. It's fine. It's basically a single LP and a jacket. One thing I'd love to note is that the cover art I think is pretty cool.
It's hand painted, I believe.
Oh, is it? That's
someone
neat.
hand painted it.
Yeah, it fits the album title very well. It's a girl staring into a mirror,
but she's not actually looking at the mirror.
The reflection is like looking at her, and it seems angry. Yeah. If you flip it over, it's like the same art style continues, and it's like a dog just chilling.
It's a cool looking dog.
Yeah, cool looking dog.
Yeah.
I like how they've got the tracks split up. Not every album does this, where they've got it split up by side as well. So on the back, you can see like which tracks are on which side. The one big thing that I like about this record over a lot of other records that feels cheap. Well, other records feel cheap. This has a really nice lyric insert.
Oh, okay.
Like a full 12-inch single sheet that has all the lyrics for every track on both sides. I hate when you get a double LP in like a single jacket and it's just two records in white paper sleeves stacked together, nothing else.
That's the way that Alice in Chains album I have is.
A bunch of my Chili Peppers albums are the same way. It just feels cheap, right? Whereas
you spend $40 on an album. Yeah.
Whereas this, you get a pretty solid packaging with that lyric insert, and it reminds me of buying CDs and games ages ago. You'd always get the lyrics or the game manual or whatever.
You know what killed me about buying like PS2 games that were, or sorry, PS1 games that were two CDs? It was like you get two CDs and you get that like thick boy case.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't get anything extra in there. You would just get like the manual.
Yeah, it's literally just space for you to open and take out the disc. There's nothing.
Yeah, nothing to it. Yeah.
But anyway, it's a pretty solid LP. Nothing super stands out a lot, but it's definitely not the cheapest record that I've ever bought. It feels solid for what it is.
I went out and looked at some reviews of the album. I just wanted an idea of like, did other people hate this album like I did, or am I just in a grumpy mood or something like that? The reviews were mostly positive for it, but the thing that struck me about one of the reviews talked about the album cover, and someone said it reminded them of a Roger Daltrey album where he's doing the same thing. He's looking in the mirror, but his reflection isn't looking at him. But it's a trick photography kind of thing. Yeah. But so the picture is like him looking at the mirror, but the picture is the back of his head in the mirror. Cool. Yeah, and I was like, that is kind of cool. And it is sort of like that. And I was like, it's kind of an interesting idea. But they don't sound anything like each other.
No, not at all. So. I actually saw these guys live when they did their 2018 tour for the album. I saw them at the Biltmore in Vancouver, which is one of my favorite. It's not really a club. It's the bottom of a hotel. But it's
a cabaret.
It's a cabaret, the Biltmore Cabaret. It's one of my favorite venues in town, though. It's just like a dimly lit basement, and there's a really low stage.
Oh, sick.
And the dance floor is like small, and they still pack a lot of people in there because it's a popular, like, old classic place in Vancouver.
Oh, like a speakeasy almost.
Kind of, yeah, almost. There's a big bar at the back, and kind of. So I love seeing shows there. I've seen a bunch of my favorite bands there, and this concert was just fantastic. I mean,
I like small shows like that.
Yeah, they're great. And these guys were even like signing shit at the merch booth after. I don't know if they were signing stuff, but they were talking to people and like selling stuff themselves, which is always nice rather than seeing like a shirt jockey handing stuff out and taking 20s. But the one thing I loved was how, the energy is so constant with this. It was a blast to dance to. And it really reminded me of punk shows where I'm just moshing. Like,
were you skanking
the whole time? I wasn't skanking. It's not ska. So another thing is that it does, like, everything's upbeat, but the lyrics are very either not necessarily depressing, but they're pessimistic. I found quite a bit.
She's not an optimist.
No, not at all. I think that's why I connect with this album quite a bit. Is I'm very much a realist or a pessimist, and I don't know.
You're a real downer, Plouffe.
Yeah, it can be. But I like how much, I don't know, I connected with how much in the lyrics that she kind of doubts herself sometimes, or is afraid of the future, or is afraid of commitment.
Even in the romantic song of Little Death, it's still like death themed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, like I love you, but like I die a little death every time you say my name. Like I die a little death and my balance is off kilter. Like I'm falling apart. And so, like, even in something that's, like, a positive note, it's still said in such a morbid way.
Yeah. I feel like most of the tracks are like that. one of the more positive things I have to say about the album is that I feel like all of the choruses are very catchy.
Yes.
And that's important when it comes to writing a popular album. Like, I don't know if you've seen the whole Dave Grohl thing with, not Jack Black, Kyle Gass, I think.
Yeah.
Where they're like, let's write a pop song. And it was like, whatever, catchy album. And they brought up stuff like Love in an Elevator. Do you know the lyrics to Love in an Elevator? No, but you know the chorus. And,
Love in an Elevator.
Yeah, right? And I have this CD in my car, and I sing along to it constantly just because, like, the chorus comes on and it's super catchy.
That's the worst part, though.
What? You don't like the choruses?
I have notes on so many of these songs because I liked just the chorus. Or I liked a 30-second chunk of it, and then it wasn't that anymore because, of course,
the title
every
track.
third it changed or whatever. So it's just like, man, it's so frustrating when I'm like, this is very catchy. I wish I liked the song, but I don't. So I guess I'm going to not do anything with that, and I just will have always liked that 30 seconds and then moved on with my life kind of thing.
That's crazy.
See, I don't know a lot of bands from New Zealand other than like Flight of the Conchords. Lord, sure. Yes, yeah. But like I don't. I think the only one I own is Crowded House. But they were a big band in like the 80s. I don't think they still make music, but like apparently these guys are extremely popular in their home country. Yeah.
And even when I saw this show, it was like really good energy from the crowd, and it was, I don't know if it was sold out, but like it was packed in there. I actually really like all the lyrics. I'm a bit of a like lyric nerd. I tend to read the lyrics for songs and stuff, and I think that's another reason I like it is I really like her writing style. Pretty much, not even just the choruses. Like, I don't know, just baby, you're breaking my heart from whatever. Why do you make it so hard? Like, that one's a really simple one, but a lot of it is like it's telling a story every time.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's usually telling a story about herself. And I like the way she rhymes, and I don't know, it's it's hard to explain exactly, but I just think it's very poetic.
Sure.
The whole album. And it's backed by this like constant driving drums, which is maybe a little overpowering. I can agree, but maybe that's why they got the new guy on drums.
In my headphones, I did not notice it in the same way that Belle did. But had I listened to it on my stereo, I probably would have noticed it more.
And it's funny, I even noted, I listened to on my Mac, just speakers, MacBook Pro M1, very good speakers. And then I switched to headphones and listened on AirPods. Because I was like, is it just how I'm listening? Because which one is it? It's Little Death, which is funny because we're talking about that. I liked it, but I felt like everything was so muddy. The instruments were so loud. The backup singing was way louder than other songs. The oohs and ahs from Elizabeth, as well as her singing, I just felt like it was way too much. I was like, is it just my headphones at this point? Like, I've never noticed it with any other album, though, so I'd still fault my enjoyment of this album to that. But, like, I did at some point go, am I listening to this wrong? Should I just be in my car, enjoying it, be fast on a summer day kind of thing? Because like I could not find a way to enjoy it other than a speaker in the shower where it was already loud. So maybe I'm like, maybe I just need to listen to my car and enjoy it. But like again, I shouldn't have to listen to an album in a certain place to enjoy it.
I listened to it on like a fairly expensive pair of Sennheisers, and like I found the mix to be kind of flat.
Sure.
In certain points, but I borrowed a pair of Beats Fit Pros, like the little buds. From the office the other day because I was thinking about buying them, and those headphones they suck dog, so don't buy them. But also,
by Beats.
Yeah, right. But also the album sounded notably worse on them, and I was like, I found my enjoyment of the record went way down. So I listened to the first 4 songs on those, but I listened to the whole album on my Sennheisers. I don't know. It sounded like the sound of the album wasn't really what killed it for me. It was just that I was not in the mood for their brand of
it's fun.
X beat per minute.
It's a fast, fun summer album, going to the beach or something. Like I listened to a lot in the car, and like live it was great.
Sure,
and
I believe that.
I'll put it on at home sometimes, but admittedly, it's not my first pick for like listening over my stereo.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely best suited with an activity or something. Like I think that this would be a decent album to just put on at a party or something like that.
Yeah, you're a restaurant tour and you want to put on an album that sounds fun, but you don't really have to think about it too much.
Yeah. But then I don't know. Like I said, the lyrics are kind of deep, so if you do stop
but if you
and
do
listen,
you
get a bit more than what you might have expected. Yeah, I don't know. Some of them, like in Less Than Now, like a warbling voice from a beautiful mouth, trying my best to be less of a coward, trying to be less than thou. I just think it's fun.
Okay.
And I like her voice a lot. I think that's like the main reasons why I love this album so much.
Yeah. I did read one review that was like, oh, this album is well polished. It seems like instead of it being a debut album, because they had
a second album.
Yeah, they had they had an EP, and then this is their first full length. And then like instead of being, it sounds more like a fourth album.
They played. So this came out. They formed in 2015.
Yeah.
And then this album came out 3 years after that.
2018. Yeah.
So I think they definitely had a lot of practice and kind of figured out their sound, and then they crammed all those songs into one album.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm afraid to listen. They have one other album that just came out, I think, a couple years ago called
2020.
Jump Rope Gazers. I haven't listened to any of it, and I'm afraid to listen to it because I'm afraid it's not going to sound the same, and I'm just not going to like it.
That actually might be a benefit because, like, I'm on the same page as Jamie, where it's like, yeah, no. And when you mentioned like it had a bunch of singles, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It feels like they've had 3 years and just kind of picked some songs and put it together.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's a downfall because it does sound very, very same.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songs that you can tell that they designed them to be radio played.
Totally.
There's a lot of radio friendly unit shifters.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Happy Unhappy is my favorite.
Sure.
And it definitely feels like it fits the album the least. It feels like the most polished, the most like varying of a song. And like, again, going back and listening through and like I have it in my ear right now, just kind of going through some of the songs. And I'm like, that one feels the least like it fits there because it just feels like so much higher quality. So I'm like, I wonder where it was filmed or recorded in all of this, because this 3 years to make an album is
well,
a long
they
time.
had an EP.
They had an EP, and there was some other singles I think that didn't quite fit. But 3 years in the making, kind of.
Yeah. So I thought we would go a lot further in the podcast before we had an album that.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Two of us didn't like, or at least one of us didn't like. Like our reaction to the Now was, mostly neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The reaction to my album was like mostly positive, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is like, I feel like Belle and I are just like taking a dump on it.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised because I actually really like this one a lot. It's a different pick from me though, personally. I'm not usually like a big indie pop kind of guy.
Fair.
But I think I like it because it's a bit more than your average like indie pop.
Sure.
It's a lot more like heavy. It's not heavy, but it's a lot heavier than other indie pop.
Yeah.
And there is just a lot of like drumming and guitar work on it.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a solo in every song at like 2/3 through, which is a blessing and a curse because they're usually good solos, but you're like, there's guitar solo.
Yeah, Less Than Now I think had the best or my favorite guitar solo at the very end there. I was like, oh, that's a sweet end.
I like the title track. The title track is probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, Future Me Hates Me is probably my favorite as well.
Sure.
And then I actually really love how Less Than Now ends and closes out the entire album with that, like, it sounds like someone's recording them in the studio from outside the studio, and then they close the door or whatever, and you can hear the guitar solo just kind of like cut off.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really cool way to end the album.
I think side 2 of the LP, like I got through side 1 of the LP, and then side 2 of the LP is where it fell off on me.
Interesting.
So like it would be an album where if I was listening to it at home and I owned it, I wouldn't flip it over and listen to the other half.
Oh yeah.
I would just I listened to the first half and I put it away.
I mean, hey, you know what? That's why they're called B-sides, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and so I would be like, it was the first side was mid, so I'd be like, why would I listen? The second one had, I like Little Death and I really like Happy Unhappy and I like Less Than Now.
Yeah.
But River Run and whatever are just
really
stinkers in my mind, and since they're back to back, I'd be like, I don't want to listen to this side. I don't like those.
It's funny. Those are like River Run. Sure, that's definitely like I think the guitar overpowers the vocals a bit. I like that it's a bit of a change of pace for the intro from the rest of the song. And I think that it actually should have been the final track rather than Less Than Now, and then end it the same way with like the whole studio closing the door or whatever. But I actually really like Whatever. Like that's one that I'm definitely singing along to in my car the most. I actually wrote down like multiple parts of the song in terms of lyrics because I'm like, yeah, this is great. I love singing that part. I love singing this part.
It's also one of the longer songs on the album. Yeah. So I wonder if it's just like I got fatigued partway through. But yeah, no, I think just the backup vocals did not do it for me.
Really?
But it did on Not Running. Not Running is the first time I realized there were backup singers. And I was like, oh, I like this. Like, I like this a lot. And I thought it was like all right until they kicked in at the after solo. Now there's backup singers part of the song. I was like, this is really good. And then I was like, oh, now I notice the backup singing, and I'm liking it less and less. And less.
I think the backup singing would have been better used if it was used less. But the problem with a lot of the songs on the album is what we discussed before is formulaic, right?
Yeah.
There's backup singing, there's like fun drums, but maybe a little too loud.
A little too much, yeah.
And then there's a guitar solo 2/3 of the way through, and then the lyrics are kind of like upbeat sounding, but kind of down in the content. And that's like every song on the album. And that's sort of what I found hard to get through. It's just like, oh, it's like AC/DC's one song, right? Like,
sure.
They have their version of You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean, it's a good song.
It's 38 minutes of that.
Yeah.
So,
I think another reason why I might like this is that I like ska, like quite a bit actually. Which is, probably pretty divisive.
He's wearing suspenders right now.
Yeah,
you
can't
see it, but
he's got checkerboard Vans on.
I'm skanking all over the place.
Yeah.
But I'm
he's got a trombone.
He's wearing a lav mic. That's how you can't tell. He's scatting around.
But I'm like a huge Streetlight Manifesto fan, and they're very much like, hey, this song's about like suicide and killing yourself or whatever. But it's like, a lot of like upbeat guitar and drums and trombone and trumpet and stuff.
Big D in the Kids Table.
Big D in the Kids Table.
they're a good ska band.
I've never heard them, but I'll check them out.
I only know Real Big Fish.
Sure, Real Big Fish is great
classic,
too. Sure.
Yeah, I never really got into them, but I got respect.
Goldfinger.
Oh, yeah,
that's a classic.
So that's again how I'm like this. I feel like would fit on an old Tony Hawk game.
Yeah,
which is like
sure,
crazy upbeat.
Oh yeah. Our new Tony Hawk game.
Skate
4.
I think maybe that's part of why I like it so much is that I think it would fit Tony Hawk or something really well, even if it's just because of the drums and whatnot.
Tony Hawk has NFTs now.
Oh God,
we lost Tony Hawk to NFTs.
Find out this way, audience.
Oh my God, why'd you have to tell me that?
Who else did we lose to NFTs recently?
Deadmau5. But I mean,
oh seriously?
Did we lose anything?
Not really. I never understood the appeal.
Well, if you were a game trailer in 2012, you would have understood the appeal of dubstep.
Yeah.
He's not dubstep. I really didn't want to make the comparison, but Courtney Barnett is another. She's Australian.
Oh,
but folk. But it's the same thing where it's like the lyrics are very down.
Yeah.
But she's playing down folk music, and the voices are very similar. Not just because one's Aussie, one's New Zealand, but like I definitely was like the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm like, when you're in the podcast, don't compare them because like it's very different music. But I'm like, man, I don't know if I want upbeat music to drab lyrics because it feels like try hard now. Like. To this extent, fair. I'm like, I don't like it. I like Courtney Barnett's like, things are sad, so I'm playing sad. I'm like, yeah, like I like the realism of it, especially when like Courtney Barnett's sad is like, isn't the world just boring? I'm looking at places to live where a man died, and like there's still family photos up, and not like, I'm just so in love that I'm dying a bit when I see you. And I'm just like, it's just a kind of cheesy. It's like stuff I would have liked in middle school. Yeah, very cliche. I would have like been so down and been like, this is hardcore back when I was like, 15, 16. And now I'm like, I'm out of that phase. Like, I don't want to listen to it anymore. I'm down for lyrics to not be what they seem. But like, I mean, it's every song. And I was just like, I was kind of exhausted by the end of it.
Aren't we all getting tickets to the When We Were Young festival?
No.
We can go see MCR?
No.
And get COVID?
And yeah, whatever.
And stabbed?
No, I don't want to go. Oh. Matt wants to go so bad. I'm not interested.
He wants to see all those fucking bad bands.
I know. I think they're fine.
The Ataris are going to be there.
There's like one band I want to see. I can't remember
and
who
it's
it
the
is.
Beths.
Well, I mean,
is it MCR?
No, God, I actually really hate My Chemical Romance. I think for me, I actually love the juxtaposition, but I've always kind of been into that. And I actually, like, I'm a major romantic at heart, so I've always, like, loved super cheesy, stupid romantic lyrics like that. I didn't ever really grow out of it. Like, to an extent, you know, I'm not going to be that angsty teen or whatever. And I like a lot of, like, other lyrics, too, that don't delve into any of this stuff at all. But I don't know. I just love it. I think I just connect with this, like, with the lyrics too much or something. But there's something about the upbeatness and the depressing aspect of the album that, I don't know, it really does it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
And that's cool. 100%. Yeah, like, there's a reason why like, I like the albums I own.
Yeah, sure.
Including Crackers, which is just funny. I listened to it the other day.
Yeah, like, I'm definitely down on the album, but, like, not because it's bad. It's just, like, literally I'm out of that stage of life.
Sure.
I think I'm just done with it.
I think that's fair. And I think part of the reason why I thought you guys might like it a bit more is simply because I don't think it's, like, a bad album.
No.
Like, I definitely...
No, it's not a bad album.
Yeah.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what I was looking for.
Sure.
100%.
Then,
same brainwave.
Yeah, that's a fair take. I think overall, I'd probably give this one personally. What are we rating stuff out of?
First of all, we need to redo this because you didn't say
whoa.
Our tagline.
Fuck.
You got to say, you know, what's our final verdict? You got to say.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So our final verdict on this album is Plouffe.
Well, I don't know about you guys. You're probably gonna score it a little lower. I personally, what are we scoring stuff out of? 13 stars or something?
Oh yeah,
you can say whatever. I was saying we should do more of a Top Gear, just like. What is it better than we've reviewed already?
So like we were going to have like a wall, and it's just like, this is automatically the third place album. Wow.
So you can give it a number out of 13 out of whatever you want, because like that's still, you know, is helpful for people, I'm sure.
I give it like a 10 out of 13 or something like around there. I'd rank it pretty high. I mean, hey, I put the Now Now at like a 7, right? And I hardly even liked the Now Now.
I think we were only rating at a 9 at that point.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. It all blends together. All I know is I pretty much like every track on the album. I do agree that it can be very samey, but when I'm looking for that one kind of song or track, it actually works to listen to a bunch of it in a row, like when I'm in the car or if I'm working out or something and I just need something high energy for
40 minutes.
For like 40 minutes.
You can find that time.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's perfect filler music for when you need something like that. But then if you do want to stop and listen a little deeper, the lyrics, if you're into that kind of thing, can really hook you in a bit. So yeah, I actually rate it pretty highly amongst my own personal collection, and I would totally love to see these guys again. If they tour again, I'll be getting tickets for sure. It's a great show.
Would you buy the record again? Now that, like, obviously you obviously really like it.
Honestly, yeah.
The record experience was worth whatever you paid for it.
Yeah, I like this was a random album that a friend recommended me, and I listened to like one track. I think it was Future Me Hates Me or something, and I was like, boom, I love this. And I was instantly sold. Bought the record, loved the rest of the album, went and saw them live like 2 months later, and then made it my workout album for like half a year to a year. So yeah, I'm pretty big on it.
I'd probably give it if we're out of 13, 6.5 maybe. 6.5. Like I didn't hate it.
Yep.
But it wasn't what I was looking for.
Sure.
But I'm not gonna give it a 0 because it's not garbage.
Yeah.
It's like a 6.5 to me.
What would you say? Better than the Now Now?
No.
Damn.
No, the Now Now is.
You were the only one that liked the Now Now, though. To be fair.
No, he was the only one that liked the Now Now.
No,
I don't know. I didn't hate
the Now Now is the bottom of my list even after this. Spoiler alert.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't.
No, it's okay.
Out of the three we've listened to, the Now Now is easily on the bottom.
Okay, so I didn't hate the Now Now to the extent that you hated the Now Now. The Now Now is fine. Like I'm indifferent about the Now Now. It's if it's on a scale of 13, it's like if the Beths is a 6.5, it's a 7.
Okay,
that's fine.
Yeah, so it's like it's not like I'm not saying it's like way better. But yeah, it would be like I don't know the Who, the Now Now, the Beths. I don't know.
Okay.
And then
Yeah, for myself, again, I feel like I poo-pooed it a lot, this whole thing. But not... man. Yeah, that's what they call me. But it's not because, like, I didn't like the whole album. I really disliked a couple songs.
Sure.
And I would have liked it in, like, 2011 if this had existed then. I liked it less than Live at Leeds.
Okay, that's the greatest rock album, live
exactly,
rock
that
album
makes
of
sense.
all time.
I give the Now a 6. I'd probably give this a 6.5.
Cool.
Would I buy it? No. Like, again,
Sure.
I really like the second half. Like, when I look, I have it at the song listing. Like, Happy Unhappy is my favorite. I like Little Death. I like Less Than Now, which are all the second side. But my 2 least favorite songs are on that side, which means I probably wouldn't buy the album other than for the album art. Like, I really like the album art.
I really like
I
it.
really like it.
I really like it.
And maybe
too.
I would buy it for the album art. The name of the album is fantastic.
Yeah.
And there are a few bangers that, would be fun to have on. But if it was more than like $25-$30, I wouldn't buy it. And it's usually selling for like 45 Canadian plus. So like,
it's a little expensive.
No,
now.
I wouldn't buy it.
The only listings I saw for were listed in euros.
Oof.
That's a bad start.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen to Happy Unhappy. That song slaps.
It's great. Yeah. I don't know why, but I kept wanting to compare it to like Gwen Stefani and No Doubt for some reason.
Oh, maybe. Sure.
It's really, they're totally
like
different.
they're old, No Doubt. Yeah, because
Old
it's
No
stuff's
Doubt.
more a little bit more jaunty, if you will.
Yeah, because they were back when like
Don't Speak and major Don't Speak vibes.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
pretty much. Yeah. So I don't know. I think, and I love like original No Doubt and Gwen Stefani around like the Sublime era when she was singing on some Sublime tracks and stuff. So maybe it just kind of hit me different. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Anyway, our next album that we're going to be listening to is actually with our first guest. Mr. Alexander Clark is going to be joining us, and he wants to listen to another live album. I hope this doesn't become a running theme. Now I feel like I've got to pick a live album for us to listen to. But he wants to listen to An Evening of Magic live at the Hollywood Bowl by Chuck Mangione, who, if you don't know Chuck Mangione,
I don't.
He's a trumpet player. Pretty sure it's trumpet.
Really?
He's featured on King of the Hill quite frequently.
Oh, hell yeah. I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about. He's
now
got the
you
black
know.
hat and that.
Yeah.
Let's go. I love King of the Hill.
This is Feels So Good by Chuck Mangione. I can't remember the tune of it anymore, but like, anyway, he's going to be here for that. I'm pretty stoked because I actually love brass and I actually really like Chuck Mangione. It started as
I see
a
why you
meme.
like ska music.
Yeah. It's true though. I love brass. But I started liking Chuck Mangione as like a meme basically because of King of the Hill, and then I actually listened to a bunch of songs and I'm like, wow,
Yeah, you bought that album
Yeah,
with
I bought
me.
the
Yeah.
fucking album. And
Yeah.
I'm actually like, wow, I actually really like this guy. So
He was picking through the dollar bin with me at that record store near
Chuck
near-
Mangione was?
Yeah. Chuck Mangione was. Yeah. Oh, it's funny.
But yeah, it's going to be great. I think we're going to have a really fun time with our second live album. And thanks for listening to Vinyl Verdict, and we'll see you guys there, I guess. Well, not see you, but you know.
No, we'll see you.
Have a wonderful time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I want the last word. Bye.
Bye.